Oregon governor and the Portland mayor, yes, Governor Kotex and whomever the mayor is now, will personally court housing investors amid a construction slump. What are you going to do? You going to go out there and say, hey, come build some more houses? Because nobody wants to build in Portland and nobody wants to build in Oregon. You've put so much regulation in place and disincentivized construction and development. What'd you expect? This is one of those podcasts where actions end up in results. And this is one of those results when you are anti-business, you are anti-public safety. This is what you get. You get a housing crisis and your prices are spiking. And all of a sudden the governor and the mayor are like, we got to do something. Let's go glad hand a bunch of developers and see if we can't turn this thing around. Good luck with that. Let's get into it. Here we go. Bold plan. Speed up housing production. Good luck. All of these big libtard cities, counties, and states, they're trying to increase housing production, and they won't recognize that it's their own policy that has created a massive undersupply. And when I say that, hey, we've had an undersupply throughout the United States since the Great Recession, but most notably in areas where developers are like, I don't really want to develop there. Can't make enough money. They don't really want us to build homes because they're a bunch of effing tree huggers. We literally have people hugging trees here in Seattle. I love the tree.
Efficiency and cutting red tape. That was the topic of a discussion today at a press conference hosted by Governor Kotex and Portland Mayor Keith Wilson. Good evening and welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I'm 𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗏.
And I'm Pete Ferryman. The two leaders announced a series of actions that they are taking to spur multifamily housing construction in Portland.
Well, Governor Kotex said that she is committed to helping issue construction permits more efficiently, helping builders break ground quicker. She says
that ain't going to do it. It's public safety is your problem. Public safety is nobody wants to build these housing projects knowing you got a bunch of Looney Tunes on the loose. Why would you want to invest in Portland? What's the big return? You've got massive buildings being sold for absolute pennies on the dollar. And when I say pennies on the dollar, I mean 88% discount from values just a few years ago. Why would you want to go into a state like Portland? Why would you want to go into a state like Washington, who's capping rent and just completely providing zero incentive, and then all of a sudden, good God, we got to do something. That's what you're seeing here. We got to do something. Let's get out there and we'll talk to some people and come up with some nonsense that won't work. And this is exactly what it is. It's nonsense. It's shenanigans of the highest order, but it's all they can do because they got nothing.
Doing this, the cost of construction will be brought down as well. The governor also directed the state's economic development agency, Business Oregon, to designate office-to-housing conversion projects in Portland as essential to the economic well-being of the state. Today, the two leaders were asked about safety when it comes to inspections.
Health and safety are critical. Life safety issues won't be self-certification. We're talking about window subsets. We're talking about glazing on windows that we've trusted our developers who've done thousands, if not tens of thousands of those jobs. We know that they can do it. They can deliver it well. And yes, I mean, spot checks and permits are certainly something we'll do, but we also have to get out of the way from things that they already know and they're experts at that are delaying projects. We want to be.
And unfortunately, the damage is already done and you are living with the damage and you can't work your way out of that. You got to provide safety in the streets first and then go after developers, but because otherwise it's backwards. You're going the wrong way. You can't bring somebody into a market and go, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. When clearly you can walk around the streets and go, oh, I don't think so. Are you just going to ram the project down the public's throat? Probably, because you need housing that badly. Because you know damn well, as you constrict that supply, rents, property values to the moon. And that's what you're seeing in Portland on single family stuff.
We want to kickstart this process and we trust, and that trust is important with the business community.
Mayor Wilson also announced a $15 million notice of funding opportunity later this year for middle-income office to residential housing development in the Central City. So
the mayor there was talking about self-certifying some inspections. You hear this from California as well. Oh, we're going to allow them to search. Okay, that's a tiny little piece of the puzzle. The big ticket piece of the puzzle is, are you going to allow an efficient permitting process? Hell no. Are you going to allow less regulations to get in there and blow and go? No, you're not. This is Oregon. So you're just putting window dressing on something that is going to have the exact end result no matter what. Because all these little tweaks, they are literally just window dressing. They're just stuff that they can point to and go, oh, we tried, as their numbers of housing dwindle. And when I said single family before, I meant to also include residential housing and big multifamily development, because that's a lot of what we're talking about. And the big multifamily developers they are picking over your big blue liberal cities because they have no support there. You defunded the police. You went down that whole roadway. You stood out there. Your predecessor stood out there with Antifa and said, greatest thing ever. And I don't know if you know this, but that tends to have a negative impact on the real estate market. It's one of the whole premises of my podcast, right? It's easier to sell homes in areas that pride themselves on public safety. Weird. That is the craziest notion ever. Cause and effect. And right now you've got the effect that you got no builders that want to build in Portland. Governor Tina Kotek and Mayor Keith Wellson plan a charm offensive from these two. Okay. All right. Should be charming, right? This fall to win over housing investors skeptical of putting their money in Portland. Why are they skeptical of putting their money in Portland? What concrete things have we seen out of Portland and out of Oregon and out of Washington and out of California? What things have we seen, West Coast, Best Coast, where this kind of thing it's not happening? You know where you go and you see blow and go? You see Florida, you see Oklahoma, you see Texas. And where is the migration out of New York City, Illinois, Oregon, California, Washington? Where are they often going to? Those states, because those states don't have the regulation. And you go look at their development, they've got a different landscape. It's flat for the most part. You do limited grading and you can cut massive areas, and you don't have tree huggers, and you don't have green belt areas, and you don't have big, huge, tall trees, and you just go. So some of that's geography, but most of that is political will. And in Texas, they just go. And I identify those states because they're the easiest examples. We're going to have to stay on the development community, Kotek said. You wouldn't have to stay on the development community if you'd done your job correctly the first time through. But instead, you went down this really woke, uber woke nonsense. And you've created layers of regulation, layers of taxation, and you've basically said to the development community, we don't want you here. And now you're like the ex that's been broken up with, and your partner's starting to date somebody else. Developers going to another city, developers going to another community, in another region. And you're like, hey, we had some good times, right? Hey, come on back. I'd like to talk. I've really changed things around. And even a person knows you haven't done a damn thing. You just feel lonely and you just want your ex back because you're feeling sorry for yourself. Well, in these two instances, they're going to have to answer to the constituents and say, well, why isn't there more housing? Why isn't there more affordable housing? Why? And you know what? These residents, they voted these jokers in. So you get what you pay for, right? Portland needs to build more housing, economists and officials say, to contain the cost of living. Yeah, to contain it. You're never going to contain it. You're going to be, at best, slowing down that appreciation because you don't have the ability to blow and go like you need to catch up with your demand that's been woefully inadequate, completely outstrip supply. Many real estate investors decamped Portland in the wake of 2020 protests and the ensuing reputational damage. Who wants to go build there? I mean, what guy sits down with his investors? Say you're a big builder and you got some deep pockets behind you because that's how they operate. And you sit around the big conference table and you're like, hey, we're looking at several projects. We've got this one tied up. We've got this one tied up, and we've got this one tied up. And one of them's in Portland. People are going to say, what? Portland? Why? I thought they had 180 days of anarchy with Antifa just blasting on the ICE building in downtown Portland. And the developer would have to go, yeah, they did. So why are we building there? Why are we building there? And they don't want ICE involved? Why do we not want legal criminals? Most real estate investors, they're not liberal. They got money. They're not liberal. They're more Republican than not. That's just how it goes. Most real estate folks fall into that category. They just do. People that really make it happen. So, survey closely watched by investors and other insiders looking at where to place their money. Portland had plunged to 80th in 81 metro areas in the latest Urban Land Institute report. 80th. Construction boom. No construction boom. No construction. Because who wants to build there? Who wants to develop there? I mean, you'd have to be just a real glutton for punishment. Oh, yeah, let's go permit a 2,000 unit project in Portland, Oregon. This should be great. What could go wrong? Best thing ever. Shenanigans for days. Home builders lean on those outside investors to bankroll new projects. Portland fared better in ULI report on its home building prospects alone at 30th place. Yeah, not good. Not good. Wilson and Kotex have proposed knocking down barriers to new construction, including by waiving some housing construction fees for 3 years. Ain't going to do it, folks. It's not going to move the needle at all. None. But hey, let's point to these policies and go, we really did something special here. Portland City Council, worse than Seattle, adopted the system development charge waiver earlier this month. A move cheered by the development community. Okay, right. Was it? Who's left in the development community? And those who aren't licking their wounds already in the big commercial sphere, I mean, who do you got left that's just still, blowing and going? Nobody. Kotek and Wilson convened a task force that comprises city councilors, state officials, and housing policy stakeholders to generate ideas for reversing Portland's apartment construction slump. How about you just get your shit together? What about that? How about you just get your city together? What about that? I was in the university district yesterday, which has had a massive amount of construction happen because the city they put just, let's get UW going. And they just built mini tower after mini tower after mini tower of housing. And so yesterday I had to go get a big wrench, a pipe wrench, 2-foot long pipe wrench to work on a nut on my boat and one of the props. Yeah, ran it aground and it didn't work out well. New prop. Yeah, not good. I had to go get this big wrench from a hardware store on the U District Ave. The Ave, University of Washington. And on the northern end, there's a Jack in the Box, which I didn't know. Well, I wasn't aware of. The last time I was there getting something from the hardware store, there wasn't an open air drug market, but there is apparently an open air drug market, basically a couple of blocks west of the University of Washington campus that the city of Seattle. And, everybody else just, that's where you go to get your drugs. Go to get your drugs, buy your drugs, sell your drugs, whatever, stolen goods there. It's just a whole bunch of people kind of, doing the fentanyl knot. And there's a park across the street. There's a playground across the street kids are playing basketball at. So get your city together because people don't want to build where you've got that kind of stuff going on, on an ongoing basis. And then you throw that whole notion of protests in, and that people are afraid of that. They're just like, no, we don't want anything to do with that. So when they have the opportunity, when the developers have the opportunity to look at other options in other states, they're going to take those. If they're equal to or greater than, they're going to take those options all day long. Otherwise, you got to come up with a massive incentive, and you've got a budget crisis in Portland. You don't have any money to throw at them. The best you can do is, well, we'll make your building permit, process go a little bit faster. It's like, woo, we're slaying now. Nah, not enough to move the needle. City had the fewest units under construction, just over 1,600 at the end of 2024 than any year since 2011. And 2011, we were coming out of the Great Recession. Well, we were still in it, right? We were 3 years in it, 4 years in it, depending on how you see it. And, developers were they went sideways. And that's why you haven't had, for a lot of these bigger communities, you haven't had the construction because those guys all went under, right? And you got to wait for that new cycle to develop. Local economics firm EcoNorthwest forecast production would decelerate this year to even slower, because nobody wants to build there. Not that hard to figure out. So figure out why people don't want to build there and start at the very, very obvious. Walk around where you could put up some of these bigger projects and tell me what you see on the street level. Just walk around. No bodyguards, no nothing. Just walk around. No gun, no nothing. And you tell me what you see throughout a lot of Portland. You tell me what you see. Okay? Take a group of investors, do the same thing. Right? That's what they're going to do. They're going to do their due diligence. They're going to do their neighborhood review, which is just, Portland, I don't think so. Let's go to Sacramento. Let's go to Seattle. And that's literally what they've done. Now, with some of the regulation that Washington has coming is here, rent caps, just ridiculous commie stuff like that. That's only going to constrict the supply and further create, upward pressure on the rents. People aren't going to want to build here either. But you've got different economics here in Seattle where you got the whole tech market. You got some of that in Portland, but not nearly the same degree. System development charge waiver emerged from the multifamily housing development work group. I mean, what a bunch of nonsense. Clean your streets up first. You get that going, then provide some incentives. Okay, maybe. But you still got to be competitive. You still got to go out and beat your nearest competitor, whoever that may be. And I'm sure they've got studies out the backside on this stuff. But when you got 1,600 units, city had the fewest units, 1,600 units. I mean, that's nothing. That is literally like nothing for a city that size, a population of, 750,000, 650,000, whatever Portland is. The system development charge waiver emerged from the multifamily housing development work group. All right. Okay. And how is the multifamily housing doing in Portland? Oh, 1,600. Yeah, we just covered that. It's not doing good. It's the worst since 2011. So let's put together a little community work group. And then so did the idea to meet with investors. Hey, I was thinking, since we've really screwed the pooch here on development here in Portland and in Oregon, what if we just go out and talk with the investors and tell them this is a good idea? Oh, yeah, that should work. You got a bunch of politicians who've never run a business. They don't understand profit and loss. They don't understand time interest. They don't understand the value of money. They don't understand anything. But they come up with the idea, let's go out and talk to them. Let's talk to them. What are you going to say? I mean, what are you going to say to them? Unless you come up with some great plan to really change things up, which I don't think any big blue city is capable of. Because if you can't get the homeless, if you can't get the drug-addicted homeless off your streets, how in the hell are you going to incentivize developers to come in and build thousands and thousands of units requiring millions and millions and millions of dollars in capital and a long-term commitment? If you can't get your whacked out homeless off the streets, you have no business enticing developers. You should just call it good. It's like, you failed to get into college, so you got to go study to get your SATs up. Put a hold on it for a while and really focus on what you need to, right? So the idea to meet with, Kotex said that she couldn't speak to specifics like time and place, saying planning had only just started last week. So you're a developer, you're in place. Unless you're getting cut an absolutely sweetheart of a deal, This ain't going anywhere. This is going nowhere. Oh, we're going to have some talks. All right. Well, when are you cutting ground? On what? Well, we're having these talks. See, we're talking. We're reimagining. We're rethinking, building a lot of multifamily units. Okay. So when does the grader come in and start bulldozing that site? Oh, we got to talk about it for years and years and years. I want to make sure Portland is competitive, the governor said. Okay. All right. You want to make sure Portland is competitive. Look around. Again, look around. Does it look competitive? Do the news stories that I read, do they sound competitive? Does any of this make any sense whatsoever? How about, let's go with this storyline right here. So just so you don't think I'm blowing smoke if you're new to this podcast. Ritz-Carlton in Portland sold back to lender to strengthen struggling property. This was as of yesterday, I believe. Now, a few days ago. Late July. Yeah, you got a building that developers thought would be a good idea to bring Ritz-Carlton into downtown Portland, not that far from where the riots happened during the Summer of Love. And yet that building has gone into foreclosure and it's been sold back to Ready Capital because they don't know what else to do and they don't want to take a massive, massive, massive hit to their equity. So they're going to go ahead and sit on this bad boy. Yep, we got a building in Portland. It's got the Ritz in it. Not many people stay there and it's pretty cheap for a Ritz. But hey, maybe downtown Portland will turn around. Maybe, and pigs might fly. We don't really know. So Ritz-Carlton in downtown Portland was sold back to the lender in an effort to strengthen the struggling property, new management announced Tuesday. Does that sound competitive? Does that sound like a marketplace that is competitive? Why is the building housing the Ritz-Carlton sold back to the lender at probably a 90% discount from what it was originally not long ago? Maybe more than that. Why is that happening? Because nobody's taking up office space in downtown Portland. Nobody wants it. They're just like, no, I don't think so. No. And the downtown core is not, it's not what it should be. It's not super clean. And you got a bunch of Looney Tunes running around. You got a bunch of homeless people whacked out of their mind on drugs. And you're allowing that to happen. And you look and go, why aren't we competitive? I don't understand. Why aren't we competitive? Again, take a look around and tell me what you see. If you see a wildly cleaned up Portland, yeah, which you're not going to see, then what are we even talking about? What are we even talking about? So when I was talking about the U District, I asked the dude working the front desk at the hardware store, I think it was an Ace hardware store. I'm like, man, what's going on here? This area is overrun. It is summer, so I get that. There aren't a lot of students around. This area is overrun with an open-air drug market. And just walking down the street half a block to get to my store, which had 2 levels of barricades in front of it, a big security camera before you come in, and the ability for them to let you in from the inside if you look sketchy or not let you in. They let me right in. I must look trustworthy or something. But I asked the guy, I'm like, what's going on here? And he goes, well, it comes and goes in waves and it got really cleaned up a couple of years back. And I was like, you mean for the Major League Baseball All-Star weekend and also for Taylor Swift? And the guy goes, yep, that's it. And, I'm like, yeah, they cleaned it up for like 2 weeks tops. And he goes, yep, that's what happens here as well. And it's the U District. It's our higher education. It's our higher learning. And then you get some higher learning, right? But this whole notion that you can woo developers into your community, you got to have a little bit of a track record there first, and you got to show them something that actually entices them to come in, because everybody kind of knows what Oregon politicians are all about. It's being woke. It's being blue. It's being everything that is not welcoming to developers. You got to switch that all around. You got to switch out your core. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So good luck with that, Portland. Good luck with that, Oregon. and I'll be continuing these talks. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.